United Penguin Kingdom. Huddle up. Is it going to be a win or a bin? Let's have a quick read through of the description on Steam. This free version of the United Penguin Kingdom covers the content from 1 year of an in-game time. A city building game where you build a penguin settlement and satisfy the various needs of your penguins while dealing with seals and killer whales. This actually did annoy me from the very beginning, in terms of being given the key in the first place, actually, because I was offered the key, and I was thinking I was getting access to something that wasn't being released publicly, but it turns out this is the demo, free demo, of the full version that they're going to be releasing at some point next year, just called United Penguin Kingdom. Everybody has access to this for free as of today, so I'm not special, which is a bit disappointing, but I have to review it anyway because I've been given the key, and not a problem at all. Now, as you're watching this, you may think that this looks very similar to a game I played in the past called Oxygen and Oxygen First Breath, which was actually another iteration of having a free demo prior to the full release of the game. Reason is, same developers, so there's a pattern there. I didn't realise that at the time, but as soon as I started the game, I thought, this looks really familiar. Then I had a look, and it's the same developer as Oxygen, which, to be fair, I didn't mind. It wasn't the greatest game ever, so I was prepared to give this a chance. So the name of the game probably gives you an idea of what this is, or certainly in terms of the characters within the game. They are penguins, and you have to build a city whilst making them survive in the harsh landscape that is the icy wilderness. So yeah, you build human-like buildings, although some of them are relevant to penguins, like fisheries and things. Of course, they eat fish, but then there's things like pharmacies and housing, and everything's themed to fit in with the particular setting. So just basically keep everyone alive, make sure they've got enough food, enough housing, enough entertainment, otherwise they'll leave and or die. New people come to your town in time. The kids in the city will grow up, become adults and more useful, and the adults can have baby penguins, and so on. Life continues. Things I like then. Well, this is a quirky little idea. I mean, I can't think of too many other penguin city building games that you have to do, certainly with such a brutal survival element, which this does eventually offer. It functions perfectly well at what it's supposed to be, so although quirky, it's functionable. It looks nice. The colours and the lighting are really, really good. The buildings look good. They're animated, depending on the role they're playing. And zooming in doesn't detract from any quality either. Hopefully you'll see some of that in my video. Zooming in as far as you can go. Things look nice. The penguins look nice. The buildings look nice. Everything does look pretty good. Just as with the Oxygen games, there's so many different buildings on this. You don't start with very many. You have to unlock them via research. But there's absolutely loads that you can end up with. And you can see from the outset, without actually being able to use them, what you have available. So plenty of choice, plenty to get stuck into, and plenty to look forward to as well, because everything is pretty much locked at the beginning. The game feels chilled, but don't let that fool you, because as the game goes on, things become harder. You need to build more and more things based on tasks that you get, and obviously to build those things and to have them function, you need to stretch your population. And that's where it becomes quite tricky. You need to prioritize things. So although you are lured into a very laid-back, chilled sense of security, you have to keep on top of things, or the game will destroy you and you lose. The AI is pretty good as well. I didn't find myself getting lost really with any of the screens. Everything's very self-explanatory. Everything looks okay. I'm not going to say it looks brilliant, but this isn't a polished version. This is, of course, a demo, but everything looks decent, and it is easy to navigate as a user. There's a little tutorial as well, just to get you into things if you're not used to this type of game, and that's fine. But yeah, very easy to get around. So something negative, although it's not too much of a biggie, but something that did just grind me a little bit, is that it is basically the same game as the aforementioned Oxygen games. It just feels a little bit like it's just been reskinned. I wouldn't say it's lazy, because they have created new buildings and some new thoughts about how the penguins are going to act in the world. But as I said earlier, literally instantly, I thought this is the same as Oxygen. Now, I appreciate they may not have the money to go out and develop a brand new, different looking game, but because it just looks so similar, I don't know, maybe I was hoping it would be a bit more on its own somewhere, but not really a huge negative, but it's just something that did strike me as being a little bit, oh, okay, it's the same game, but it is underneath It's not quite on the surface because obviously it's penguins rather than heat control from under the ground like oxygen is. The tasks you get issued don't seem particularly varied as they come through. You pretty much achieved, because they come through in threes. You have to achieve 3 things typically. And most of the time as I got into the game, I'd already achieved 2 of them. And the last one was just make X amount of resources from a building that you've been producing that resource for ages. So the task didn't seem that failable to me, unless I was just really good at this. But they weren't particularly varied. Perhaps that will change. Perhaps that will differ when the full game comes out, of course. So far, there is only 2 repeating enemies, certainly in this demo. There is seals, which will either attack one by one, or literal massive army of them will swarm your place and just steal your food. That's all they do. They just come across, steal your food. They ignore the penguins, and I'm pretty sure seals, sea lions, those kind of things, they eat penguins, but they just ignore your population. Fine, I guess they could end up destroying all your population in one swift move, and that wouldn't be great, but then it would encourage you to defend a bit more if you're finding your population is getting eaten all the time. Same for the killer whales that you see. They don't come onto the land, so to speak, obviously, but they attack your structures that sit on the water's edge, and they'll knock them down. They'll come back for more, but you kind of might expect them to try and pick off the penguins that are working in those buildings, or the ones that are maybe hovering around the edge. I mean, killer whales will eat penguins. There's no issue with that as such on either of those 2 points, that you don't get eaten by them. Obviously, it's, I would say, what's the best word of describing this? Not realistic that they ignore you, but the fact that it's just 2 repeating enemies is a bit boring. They do the same thing every time, and the whale is pretty boringly animated. It goes chomp chomp and then sits back a bit, chomp chomp, sits back a bit, chomp chomp. It's no variation on that. Yeah, so overall this is of course just a demo, so I'm not going to be doing my favourite things and my not so favourite things, or even give this a rating at the end of the video as I normally do, because it's a demo, it's not the finished thing. I'm just talking about it, telling you the things I like about it so far. Yeah, I do like it, and I think it could be a good game. Of course, it will depend on the price when it comes out. So far, I would say any more than £15, no chance. But it's a decent enough game, and I had a bit of fun for the 1 year that you get to play in game time. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Why not? I can't say this is a bad game or a fantastic game, but maybe something you want to give a try yourself as a free demo, which is available now.